If you're Afghan, you have no rights, and actually, your status does not make much difference. A chilling sentiment that echoes the harsh reality for almost 2 million undocumented Afghan refugees in Pakistan. On the first day of November, Pakistan set in motion a plan, one that would forcibly deport 1.73 million undocumented Afghan refugees, plunging them into a spiraling humanitarian crisis. These refugees, who sought solace on foreign soil, have been subjected to a storm of humiliation and abuse. Reports from first-hand witnesses and international human rights organizations paint a bleak picture. The elderly, pregnant women, and sick children, all vulnerable and desperate, bear the brunt of this crisis. They are met with beatings, confiscation of belongings, and an utter disregard for their human dignity. The jobs they hold are low-paying and arduous, a testament to their struggle to survive. Their undocumented status amplifies their fear, a fear of approaching the police, a fear of being labeled as terrorists. Their lives, a constant battle against an inescapable fear and an unending crisis. This mass deportation has led to an escalating humanitarian crisis. In the face of adversity, the Afghan refugees continue to suffer in silence. These brave souls face a myriad of challenges in their quest for safety and stability. One of the most significant hurdles being their lack of legal status, which leaves them vulnerable to exploitation and abuse. This vulnerability is further exacerbated by the constant fear they live in, a fear of being unjustly labeled as terrorists, a fear that keeps them trapped in a cycle of anxiety and uncertainty. They are forced into low-paying, arduous jobs within the informal labor sector, often working long, grueling hours just to make ends meet. Their undocumented status prevents them from seeking better opportunities, and they are left with no choice but to accept whatever work they can find, no matter how challenging or poorly paid it may be. Adding to their plight, they live in constant dread of approaching the authorities due to their precarious legal situation. This fear permeates their daily lives, overshadowing their hopes for a better future and leaving them feeling trapped and helpless. Despite the harsh conditions, millions have sought refuge in Pakistan due to the dire situation in Afghanistan. As the world watches, pleas for help echo from the refugee camps. The international community has not been silent in the face of this escalating crisis. Afghans, both at home and abroad, along with various human rights organizations, have vociferously condemned the treatment of these vulnerable refugees. They've called out the humiliation, beatings, and confiscation of belongings as stark violations of human rights. Among the most prominent voices has been the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, or UNHCR. In a firm stance, they've urged an immediate halt to the forced returns of Afghan nationals, highlighting the inherent danger in such actions. Yet, despite these international appeals, Pakistan's leadership remains seemingly unmoved. The pleas for humanity and the calls for respect towards the rights of refugees appear to be falling on deaf ears. This dismissal, this ignorance, is a clear indicator of the immense challenges that lie ahead. Advocates and organizations must continue their work, continue their pressure, and continue their fight for justice for these refugees. The world continues to watch as the crisis unfolds. In the midst of this crisis, the fate of young Afghan women and girls hangs in the balance. Their vulnerability is heightened by the threat of sexual abuse and rape within the confines of refugee detention. This is not just a fear, but a grim reality for many, evidenced by the heart-wrenching stories that seep through the cracks of these detention centers. The current situation is a stark reminder of the urgent need for protective measures, not just on paper, but in action. It's a call for the international community to step up and intervene, to put an end to these atrocities and safeguard the rights of these refugees. It's time we shift our focus from the broad strokes of the crisis and pay attention to the individual stories, the personal tragedies, the young lives forever altered. The plight of these young women and girls remains a poignant reminder of the human cost of this crisis.